Failed to disclose meetings with a top Russian diplomat. Here is the moment under oath that has everyone talking.
If there is any evidence that anyone affiliated with the Trump campaign communicated with the Russian government in the course of this campaign, what will you do?
Senator Franken, I'm not aware of any of those activities. I have been called a surrogate at a time or two in that campaign, and I did not have communications with the Russians, and I'm unable to comment on it.
And if that wasn't enough, then in a written request from Senator Pat Leahy, he was asked again, and he answered with a single question, Jeff Sessions, a single word. He said no to any contact. So, could he be in legal trouble? Is this lying under oath? Joining us now, White House ethics lawyer for President George W. Bush, Richard Painter. Counselor, good to have you. The simple question is what Jeff Sessions did with Al Franken lying or perjury?
Well, he didn't tell the truth. He needed to disclose the communications that he had with the Russians, if he indeed did have communications with the Russians. That was the clear point of the question, and that included any communications with the Russians during the course of the time that he was working for the Trump campaign. We know he had another job in the Senate and was, I believe, on the Senate Armed Services Committee, and he says maybe that he made a phone call in that capacity. Now, senators on the Armed Services Committee, I hope, are not routinely calling the Russians. That's not what I expect a senator serving on that committee anyway. But the bottom line is that he did not answer Senator Franken's question truthfully. He needed to disclose any contacts he had with the Russians during that campaign.
All right, so one additional fact. Senator Claire McCaskill says she's been sitting on that committee for many years and has never had contact with a Russian ambassador during that time, just to your statement about what happens on that committee. But now the question remains the same. Legally, what gets him for perjury? Is failure to disclose enough? If you can't show that Jeff Sessions knew that these contacts were relevant to the response to that question and intentionally didn't offer them up, if you can't prove that, is it perjury?
Well, that's the question, and we need to know more facts. We had a similar situation, I don't think as serious, but 40 years ago or so, with the Attorney General Richard Kleindienst, who testified at his confirmation hearing, and he was asked about whether he had ever discussed a certain case against the ITT with anyone in the White House, and he said no, and it turned out that he had discussed it. It was on tape with President Richard Nixon. Then the Attorney General Kleindienst made similar arguments. Oh, well, I thought you were talking about a different time period or something like that, and ended up settling that one out with the prosecutor for a lower charge, a lesser charge, which is failure to provide complete information to Congress. It's a misdemeanor, but it cost him his job as Attorney General, and actually he was reprimanded by Arizona
You think
State
that this
Bar.
could wind up in that category?
There are lesser charges.
Do you think that lesser charges could be realistic here?
That's in these types of situations. That is sometimes how the cases are resolved. We'd need to know a lot more about what happened. We don't know, for example, what was being discussed with the Russian ambassador. Once again, I don't understand why a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee is having unilateral discussions with the Russians. That's
Right.
encouraging.
So you are saying, at a minimum, there is a legitimate basis for wanting to know more. The question is, how should that inquiry proceed? What's the proper way to do that?
Well, based on what I've heard thus far, I don't think he can continue. Thus far, yes, maybe there are other facts out there, but I don't understand why he did not disclose to that committee the conversations he had with the Russians. And this is not just any old question. This is about a country that has been conducting espionage activities against Americans throughout 2016, has been trying to destabilize our country since the 1920s when they were supporting the Communist Party. And this is serious stuff, what's going on with the Russians. We've already had one member of this administration have to resign for lying about contacts with the Russians. That's Michael Flynn, who lied to the vice president, very clearly lied to the vice president. And now we've got another one who seems to have trouble telling the truth about what he's saying to the Russians. And that's just not acceptable.
Richard Painter, thank you very much for making the case. Appreciate it. Allison?
All right, Chris, is the Trump administration moving towards giving authority to military commanders in the field to greenlight anti-terror raids without the president's approval? We're going to discuss how that would work next.
Choose to go, to indulge your curiosity, explore a new road, to see where it takes you. Meet the leaders who change the game. No matter where you are, no matter what the currency, when you run the numbers, they may surprise you. But stay your course. You're on the path to success. CNN Money.